Thank you so much for listening to Zimnet Radio. 10 minutes after 10 kuno ku United Kingdom. Ndichimba kuti muri kutinzwa zvakanaka kumativi mana enyika, and everyone is in good health. Talking to a friend back home in Zimbabwe who is not feeling well and was taken to hospital yesterday. And unfortunately, the state of the hospitals in Zimbabwe is dire. Anzi varara vari mukorido yekuparirinyatwa vachimirira kuti vaone doctor. But zvisinei, these are the things that are happening in Zimbabwe. If you haven't got money, if you can't get yourself to a private hospital, kuma avenues and all the like of it, you might be in big trouble there in Zimbabwe with the state of the hospitals there. It looks like people have quieted down about it, but it doesn't mean things are well back home. But anyhow, let me introduce the panel for today. I know that few people are still on their way coming, but they will catch us in there. Sally, welcome to the show.
Good evening, DJ Sodza. Good evening, my Sekuru. Good evening, Wilbert, and good evening, Zimbabweans, wherever you are. I hope you've had a good day and that your week so far has been brilliant.
Oh, lovely, lovely. I'm told the temperatures back home are like 40 degrees there. Is it the same?
Yeah.
Is it hot in South Africa now?
In Cape Town, no.
Yeah.
We're going through, I mean, it was 6 degrees last night. So we're going through some cold weather with rain, but we need the rain. But Zimbabwe's in trouble. Masvingo and Bite Bridge are... temperatures are sky high.
It is very cold. It is very hot there, I'm told.
And the mosquitoes are going mad.
Yes. Right, anyhow, thank you so much, Sally. Mukoma Wilbert Maswera say.
Hello Zimbabwe, hello everybody, hello Sally, hello Sekuru, hello DJ Sodza.
Aha, you are. Ndinofara chose. Iri say more.
Look, everybody's fine.
Yeah, that's good. That's what we want to hear. How is Chando?
Chando?
Yes.
Well, Manchester is not yet cold, so at the present moment we are still okay. But I'm sure in a few weeks' time you start having to look at turning on the heat again.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to that. Anyhow, thank you so much, Mkoma Wilbert. Sekuru Masira say. Is it still warm in Birmingham? It's cold up here in Hull. Yeah, kuno kutonora as well. But anyhow, Sekuru ndokuchingamiza ipachirongwa.
Atenda makadiko aterere beZimnet main radio.
Aha, ndatenda zvangu. Commiseration, your team got slaughtered on Saturday.
None.
Ne Watford? No, I'm talking about Saturday. Got absolutely slaughtered.
Saturday
oh, okay. Fair play.
Sekuru, I've got something. My husband said you were so correct on what was it, Saturday, with Man United and who was it? When they and they had a draw, because I said to him, my Sekuru says that they're going to draw. He said, no, they're not. I said, you don't know my Sekuru. And then afterwards he said, you better tell Sekuru he was right.
Tell him thank you. Next time you must learn to respect the opinion.
Exactly.
Okay. Anyhow, thank you so much. Let me get to one more. Sekuru last week regai tichingamidze wamoyo mamuka sei?
Tamuka mukuru wangu maswera sei?
Aiwa sitiri nani isu takumutsai pakati peusiku kakwenyu.
Aiwa ndizvozvo, aiwa hazvina kuipa muri right here mimi.
Aiwa tiri right samheno kwenyu.
Aiwa kuri nani hako.
Now handisi kuziva kuti maka muripo last week vamoyo nasekuru. I don't know Sally if you listened to it. Patakabvara chirongwa last week as soon as we finished. There was a lot of discussion yamakazoita behind scenes about, I think you started talking about what was happening in Kenya in terms of the opposition successively went to the courts and argued their case that the elections which were held in August and won by the sitting president was not free and fair. And the court overturned it and said there should be a rerun. And the rerun campaign was in full flow, and the opposition decided to withdraw from running completely. And I don't know, could that thing happen in Zimbabwe? What were you talking about in the background, Sekuru, last week?
Moyo kandi ari kuti opposition hamusi kugona muri kuenda kumakoti mowana majudgment moringa kudi kutora advantage of the judgment. Ndikamuudza kuti no moyo iyi inonzi strategic boycott because iko zvino Odinga na uyu Kenyatta vese hapana achiri president apa and hapana anogona kukundurira munhu. Saka fight yavepo iko zvino ndeyekuti uyu ari kuti ita mareforms zeki yokukinya ngaaite mareforms inonzi IEB yokukinya Independent Electoral Board of Kenya ngaaite mareforms. Uyu uhuru uri kuti aiwa gazvirambe zvakadaro tiite kumaelection zvakadaro ava ari kuti no iwewe hauna simba rokuudza IEB kuti idaro. Moyo ari kuti no vari kushauriwa because makoti hauvhoti. Isi tirimuudza no apa patoita nyaya yakaoma ndo zvataimudza last week. Iko zvino handisi kuti moyo achiri panera akanga ari here kakuti ati chinjei bichana.
Because normally I want to come back to Zimbabwe and Shita incorporate Zimbabwe because I focus on Zimbabwe a lot. My question to all the discussion that you were doing, I was listening but I didn't say anything. My question to that was, can this happen in Zimbabwe at all? Number one, for the opposition to go to the courts of Zimbabwe and have the whole general election result overturned? And also, do we have an opposition in Zimbabwe that has got the guts to actually say, right, I'm boycotting completely the election? And what would that mean for Zimbabwe? Tichitarisa constitution yedu. That's what I want us to align the discussion towards.
No, muZimbabwe zvinogona kuitika asi kuti hazvigoni kuitika initial stage election. Zvinogona kuitika chacho ndezvekuti in the event yekuti ZANU-PF neMDC alliance vasara vari muround sezvanga zvaitika pana 2008 chaizvo. MDC hatikuita maelection. Ndo zvayakatoita yakatoti hatisi kuinda kumaelection. But problem iri kuZimbabwe manje ndeyekuti pakanga papindira vanhu veSADC neAU ndokuzopedzisira papinda nyaya yeutongi hwauyu Mbeki wekuSouth Africa uyu anowirirana naMugabe. ndiye wakazoita zvokumanikidza vanhu kuti ngatichiita zveGNU. Ndokubva vana AU nana Sadiki apeswedha AU kuti zvida, asi nokufamba kwenguva vakatozoona vanhu veAU neveAU in particular vakatozoona kuti vanhu vekusadiki vakaita zvinhu zvisingafaniri kutevedzerwa. Ndosaka ECOWAS kuNigeria kuWest Africa haichabvumi kuti kana dictator anenge achiwa or president anenge achiwa aite zvegovernment of national unity. Ndozvikuitika kukinya manje, kukinya ndo zvakasaka kuti kukinya uyu aende kukoti anoti pane problem yemunhu ari kubirira maelection, but akazviita neungwaru sekuti akazviita after zvimwe zvimapati zvidiki zvizvadi zvaeliminatwa, because credibility yakinyata manje inozikanwa kuti ave credible president anofana kudya uyu Odinga free and fair, like the same thing story yakanga tangira waifana kudyiwa naMugabe free and fair election. Ndo papaitika an unfair election instead of vanhu vemuregion nevemuafrica nevemuworld kuti vati bodo zvaitwa naMugabe hazviziri izvo, vakabva vaita nyaya yekumanikidza kuti indai mugovernment of national unity iyoyo, which was wrong. But yes, iyo question yokuti zvinogona kuitika here kuZimbabwe, yes zvinogoneka kuitika chaizvo before pane maelections akawanda akanalifiwa muZimbabwe nehigh court. The only problem iri kuZimbabwe ndeyekuti judiciary yeZimbabwe iri captured neexecutive, saka vakaenda kuhigh court results akanalifiwa, pakaitwa appeal, Supreme Court haigadzirisi nyaya yacho, inongorega zvakadaro appeal iyoyo ichingova peti. Pane dzimwe dza2002 machallenges asati adecidewa nazvino.
Sekuru, ndatenda zvangu nekutsanangudza kwamaita. Mukoma Wilbert.
Hello.
Regai ndiuye pamuri. Ndoda kuziva, you know what has happened ku Kenya. Number one, kuti the opposition inoenda ku Supreme Court and High Court. Ndotaura kuti takabirirwa. Saka this was not free and fair. And John's right, it's nullified. You have to go and do a rerun, right? Can you see that happening in Zimbabwe? Number one. Number two, can you see in Zimbabwe in opposition achitaura kuti I'm boycotting going to this rerun until A, B, C, and D is done? And what does that mean constitutionally ku Zimbabwe? Those are not timboti bate ibijana.
Well, I think Sekuru was not being honest there. The GNU in Zimbabwe was almost the same. All right, okay. I'm just trying to correct facts there. That the GNU, there was a GNU in Kenya as well, under almost identical circumstances as those in Zimbabwe. So the GNU per se were the same thing. The only difference between Zimbabwe and Kenya is that in the Kenya during the GNU, they did implement democratic reforms, which allowed the many changes in the democratic institutions, so that at the end of the GNU in 2012, I think we all saw my elections that took place. For the first time, my candidates were able to even debate in the same way that you have got in America and even here in UK, in the national press. That would never happen in Zimbabwe because those reforms, ZBC was never reformed. So those things never happened. The same applies to the courts. So in this particular case, what we've got to understand here is that Kenya had the same problem, because remember, Kenya gained its independence in 1963. And ever since that period, until the GNU, it was ruled by a de facto one-party state, similar to what we have got in Zimbabwe. And the institution itself has become so ingrained in the system that trying to flush it out is very difficult. This is why in 2012, when they held the elections, Odinga, I think, challenged the result, and the courts gave a ruling on it against him, and he accepted it, and everybody accepted the results. These recent elections in August, there were irregularities, and he was able to pick them up. He was able to take them to the courts, which are now independent of the ruling party, KANU. And they were able to sit down and look at the facts and say, yes, there were significant irregularities here which would have affected the results, so they must be rerun. So that would not happen in Zimbabwe as well, because during our GNU, no reforms were carried out.
Okay.
Our courts are still under ZANU-PF. And I think we saw this happen. Even Mugabe has been boasting about it. Remember the time when Didmas Mutasa wanted to challenge their dismissal, and Mugabe was saying, in whose courts? You know, he's so confident that the courts belong to ZANU-PF, to him, and he will decide what those courts say. So that same thing would not happen. But you come back to the point of, would a boycott be possible in Zimbabwe? A boycott is possible, even without having to wait for the constitutional decision. In 2013, just before the elections, SADC said to MDC, you cannot go into these elections without the reforms, because ZANU-PF will rig them. And if MDC at that point had decided to say, okay, we are not going to participate in those elections, I can tell you, SADC would have, Mugabe, even if he had stubbornly gone ahead with the elections, SADC would have turned around and said, these were not free and fair elections. That would have taken the country back to 2008, to the GNU. That is the argument here. Mm-hmm. So even now, boycotting those elections is still possible. If the opposition were to say, I mean, look at what is happening now with the voter registration. There's so many irregularities. The whole process is, even MDC's own Obedigutu has described them as shambles. Because it's deliberately, it was delayed, and then when it started happening, there's so many problems which are meant to discourage people from registering to vote. Uh-huh. And we know come the elections, the same problems will happen again. So the opposition can say, we are not going to participate in these elections because there is no way they're going to be free, fair, and credible. So boycotting is possible, even now.
Even now. Okay, thank you so much.
Take us to the 2008 GNU, or whatever the nation decides is the appropriate thing to do. But it will say whatever is happening is totally unacceptable. That is basically what is going to happen.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Koma Wilbert, for that detailed answer and response to that question. Sally, did you hear these couple of questions that I want to just clarify before we move on here?
Yeah.
What's your answer to that?
Look, Kenya's in a mess, okay? I mean, I listened to the Kenyan guy yesterday, okay? He's the NCIC chairman, okay, of the Kenyan commission thing. And he was saying that it's not even going to work because the majority of the people, the election working in the Kenyan ZEC, okay, the majority of them are corrupt, okay. So they are hindering everything that is being put before them that might that might be of any good, okay? I mean, he was appealing to them, please just step back, okay? Let us do our work and all this kind of business. So Kenya is a mess, okay? Would it ever happen in Zimbabwe? I don't know. You know, boycotting an election in Zimbabwe, for me, is useless, okay? You've got to get every single party, opposition party, involved in that for it to mean anything. And seriously, I don't see Mugabe even batting an eyelid. I really don't. I mean, to me, it's pointless. It really is. I mean, going to court with anything in Zimbabwe, okay, like that, to challenge any government or ZANU-PF thing, okay, is useless. The court is captured, and that's the end of the story, okay? There's justice, yeah, there's justice for the povo, but for the people that instigate and steal and abuse and everything else, okay, the elite part of it, there's no justice. Well, if you're on the wrong side of the power that be, yeah, then you will, okay? But anything else, okay, forget it. So it's, to me, it's a pipe dream, okay? It really is. There's too many people involved. There's too much dithering and dathering, and it just won't go, okay? ZANU-PF are going to hang on to power by any means. Look where Ditmus Mutase is now that he's out of ZANU-PF. I mean, he's poor, okay? He's dirt poor, he reckons. So, how come he was so rich while he was in ZANU-PF? The answer is, he was getting everything from the toilet paper that he wipes his behind with from ZANU-PF. So now he's out of it. He's got nothing. And this is why ZANU-PF was hang on to power. They need to be in power. They need to have the control that they have to get what they need or what they want, okay? So they're not going to roll over and play dead very easily. It will be a really big fight. And the courts are the very last place that it's ever going to be sorted out.
Okay.
So really, it's a pipe dream. I don't see it.
You don't see it happening
in Zimbabwe at all.
In Zimbabwe at all. Thank you so much, Sally. Vamoyo mainzwa mibvunzo miiri yandabvunza apa. Itai kuti mundipe answer yenyu rather than trying to go back zvataurwa nevanhu and trying to answer people or try to critique what other people have said. Ndipeiwo answer yenyu imimi mega vamoyo kuti do you think what has happened in Kenya, can it possibly happen in Zimbabwe?
Yes, that's why there is a law regarding the conduct of elections. That's why the law is there. And the law was not put by ZANU-PF. It was put by all parties together, including the people of Zimbabwe having their input into the constitution. Although the input of the people was eventually sidelined, well, it was put in the dustbin, and then it was now the wishes of two political parties, ZANU-PF and MDC. So the ZANU-PF and MDC parties have their handwriting in the present constitution. So what is in the constitution today was agreed upon by the two parties. So anything to do with election or any other aspect is written in the constitution. Now, for anybody to assume that they cannot get justice from the courts is nonsensical, in that there is not even a single situation or case where they could say, this is what the court says, this is what we said when we went to court, and this was the decision of the court, which is contrary to what the constitution says. There's nothing like that. So to assume that they will not get justice from the court is just clear daydreaming. And also that Uhuru and Raila are now on the same level. They were on the same level already by the time they went for an election. And there is no way in the world, not even in Kenya, not even in Zimbabwe, where the two contesting or any contesting parties in an election are at different levels by the time they go to election. This is the reason why the parliament is suspended. Well, not suspended, but dissolved. There won't be any parliament anyway because there won't be any MPs. Which means everyone else becomes an ordinary person on the street until they are re-elected. This is where they become members of parliament yet again. And that also includes even the president. That also includes the president. And that was the case in the Kenyan election as well, where the president has to step down. There is no president. That's why they go for an election. So they were already at the same level. And if you say they're at the same level, and then to say that it is up to Kenyatta to implement any reforms, it's nonsensical. Because as of now, he's not the president. The issue here is the Kenyan opposition went to court, and the court granted them, not on the basis that the election was not free and fair. That was not the basis. The actual basis was on the transmission of the data. That was their argument. Everything else, remember, even all the observers, they said the process was free and fair and credible. They said the outcome of the election was a genuine reflection of the will of the Kenyan people. All of them, that's what they said. Meaning the conduct of the election was in accordance with the law to the satisfaction of all the contesting and participating parties. So they cited technicalities in the transmission of data, which in no way diminished the numerical value of the election results. It did not in any way, and that was not cited in any way. It was just a matter of how the data was transmitted. Now that they got the ruling that they want, but which does not reflect in any way any alteration or tampering with the figures, Raila is sure that when he goes back to the election process, he may get even worse results. He is aware of that. So this is the reason why he is actually withdrawing. And to say it's a strategic withdrawal, there's no strategic here. Because what is going to happen is if elections are not held as per the court ruling, because the court has already given date to say elections must be held and they must be held on this date. And if Raila does not participate in that date and the election is not held, then whatever happens is now outside the constitution. Because according to the constitution of Kenya, it does not specify that should this election not happen, what is going to happen after that. It will be anybody's guess. Although there is a lot of information and material regarding the conduct of elections within the Kenyan constitution, but it does not specifically deal with this. What is actually left there is just speculation to say, will the election go ahead? And once it goes ahead, what is going to happen? Or if it doesn't go ahead, it may mean that it will no longer be a runoff, but it becomes a fresh election in which everyone else is free to participate. And if the IEB does not implement the perceived reforms by Raila Odinga, and I don't think he knows the reforms that he's talking about, because if at all there were any specific areas that he needed addressed, he would simply go back to the same court to have those issues enforced by the court.
Okay.
But he's not going back to the court. Although he has the decision in his favor, he is not going back to court because probably he does not have anything that he can take back to court to enforce.
Right.
So in this case, it's a guy who went to court, and by the time of going to court, he actually thought that he was not going to win the case, but he thought he was just going to say first, to say, at least I tried. And I'm sure he was even shocked by the outcome himself as well, that he got the ruling in his favor. But he had no plan B to say what is the best way forward. So this becomes his problem. And for people now to say, in Zimbabwe, SADC was involved in doing this, in doing that, there is no provision for SADC in the Zimbabwean constitution, which was actually put down by both parties together. So what is going to happen should be as is prescribed in the court. And then finally, to say, is it possible that the opposition or any other party can go to court in Zimbabwe? Yes, they have gone to court before. They have done that. After the 2013 election, the court actually said, according to the constitution, it said if there is any dispute with the outcome, the president cannot be inaugurated until the dispute is resolved in a court of law. And Mugabe could not be inaugurated in 2013 because the MDC went to court and registered their displeasure or their desire to dispute the electoral outcome. And the court did not hear them out. It actually accepted them and said, okay, come, put your heads of arguments, which they did, which means the court, their procedure was supposed to start, and Mugabe could not inaugurate it at that time. But instead of going ahead with the court case and go and present their evidence and their arguments, they withdrew on their own. They withdrew their own case from before a court to say we are no longer proceeding. So how do they expect a court to rule in their favor when they have withdrawn? We have also had a case of a by-election in Bikita where ZANU-PF won in that by-election. You remember the election where Themba Mliswa lost? They went to court, and the court made a decision. And the decision that was made by court was in accordance with the constitution.
All right.
Remember, Themba Mliswa was actually complaining that the guy that he was contesting against, he did not vote himself because his name was not on the voters' roll as per, in that particular constituency. And on that score, Themba Mliswa went to court. But in terms of what the court said and what is written in the constitution, everything was in order. ZEC explained their decision. They went to court, and the court ruled against Themba Mliswa because of what is written in the constitution.
Okay.
It's not what the court wants.
What the court wants. Okay.
This is just wishy-washy that does not take anybody anywhere.
All right. Okay. Ndatenda zvangu wa moyo ne answer yenyu. Mukoma tichi maswera sei ku London?
Ndinongotekaira nekunhekera pachivano.
Anditika, thank you so much for being with us here today.
You're welcome, Mukoma maswera sei.
Taswera ungodaro chando chauya kuno.
Kana neso tikuchirwa. Wekuchinayo.
Mukoma mainzwa nyaya yatinayo panapa. It's simple. People started talking about this last week when we had finished our discussion. So I just thought maybe what you guys were talking in the background can be beneficiary to our listeners as well. And just ask you guys, what happened in Kenya? Could it possibly happen in Zimbabwe?
Absolutely, 100% yes. It can possibly happen in Zimbabwe.
Right.
There are two things that we have to understand about Kenya and Zimbabwe. They both derived their constitution as an evolution from the Westminster style of government, which is a prime ministerial style of government, with a ceremonial president who under normal circumstances would be a governor general representing the Queen. So
the way our structure is set is such that the Speaker of Parliament will become acting president in the event of both the president and vice president being incapacitated for whatever reason. However, drawing parallels with Kenya, Kenya does not have a situation whereby the nullification of the results result in the president becoming out of office. No. The Kenya system of succession is at handover. When the president loses an election, he remains president until the day of inauguration of the new president, where he hands over the instruments of the president. And until such a time that Kenyatta hands over, he remains the president of Kenya, regardless of the fact he lost the court case. Until the day he hands over to somebody else, including to himself, he remains president. That's how the system operates from what I looked up. And as a matter of that situation, the issues of people saying Kenyatta must implement certain reforms or whatever is being implied is absolutely correct. He still has that mandate to ensure continuity until all the political disputes are resolved, including him losing his position, but following due process. And that due process is that only when the incumbent, be they a governor, a mayor, has handed over, that's only when transfer of power happens and they cease to be holder. It is designed to ensure there is no gap in continuity of constitutional requirements of office holders and the functions that they have to perform. So as it stands, Kenyatta is the president of Kenya by default.
So basically, what you are saying is,
coming to Zimbabwe, just to coming to Zimbabwe, as I have alluded to before, if there was a dispute in a presidential election, until the time that a court has decided under a challenge that the incumbent has lost the election, not that the results are in dispute, then the incumbent loses the power, because the contra of that is you have lost the election, so someone has to be inaugurated, which means someone comes in. But in Kenya, what happened is that there was a dispute on the results of the election based on anomalies that were highlighted by the Odinga-led coalition. So there was no declaration that Kenyatta lost, but a declaration by the court, a judgment, that there were valid concerns on anomalies that were raised by the opposition that could nullify the election. Which means, as an elected president, Kenyatta continues until an election result displacing him is finalized definitively, constitutionally, legally, according to their tenets. In Zimbabwe, no such challenge has ever been done. And as such, until that is put to the test, we can't really come to any conclusion to say it's not going to happen or will it happen. It's a truism, a fact, that the judiciary in Zimbabwe is captured, just like many other institutions are captured. But until we put them to the test, we can't mourn about the fact that they are captured. MDC won several challenges on electoral outcomes before with the same judiciary. They've had actually results nullified and a rerun in constituencies done where they subsequently won. So it would be folly to say just because the judiciary we know is captured, you are not going to be able to take it to them. Take it to them and let them fail on their own. Let the judiciary fail on their own by saying you have presented them with facts that can follow what we call international precedents, jurisdiction precedents. If you look at these cases, are normally decided on the basis of precedents elsewhere. Like, has it happened in any other country? How was it resolved? How was it viewed? What were the judgments, etc. And Zimbabwe judges have their own reputation at stake to ensure that they follow legal precedent that is international. So until you expose them, it will be folly for anyone to say we can't have the same outcome as in Kenya. Let's take it to the courts. Let them fail on their own. And then we'll take it from there.
Okay. What about on the boycotting side of things?
This is the weakness that we have in Zimbabwe. If you look at the boycotting, it has decimated the opposition. Look at the split with the Northern movement in the first place. It decimated the numbers of superiority. You must always remember that during the GNU, the MDC was the majority party in parliament. They could change anything. They missed an opportunity to change anything that they wanted. I'll talk about two specific issues. POSA being the first, and access to information, IPA, being the second. I didn't hear any noises about it once these guys were comfortable in government. But they had the numbers at the time, and they had the co-minister of Home Affairs, where they could simply have brought a bill to Parliament, and that would have been very interesting. But it would seem like that opportunity was lost. And right now, we're still crying about the same things after GNU that we should not be crying about, because they should have been dealt with during GNU. Someone did highlight there that in Kenya, the reforms that they wanted, they got, because everyone went on to it, because they did a similar arrangement where they created an ad hoc prime ministerial position. And Odinga and his coalition pushed for the reforms that they wanted. Hence why they've got an independent electoral board in which they allege the government of Kenyatta smuggled some operatives to go there and disrupt, and they've gone to court and proven it, because they also have their own people appointed within there. Now, if you look at ZEC, MDC has no influence in what ZEC does, because they don't have their people in there. They accepted, or Morgan Tsvangirai accepted that Makarao could be appointed the chairman of ZEC in a private conversation with the President Mugabe. And that was that. It was not subjected to any processes that I'm aware of as far as I'm concerned. And I'm talking about similar to the way that judges of the Supreme Court are being subjected to public interviews. Rita Makarao was not contested.
Okay.
And Mugabe simply agreed. And at the end of the day, Makarao just ran with what justice situation had under him, which many allege is a CIO infiltrated ZEC. And right now the Secretariat of ZEC has no opposition or other independent people in it. It's still the same bureaucracy that was there through all these other elections that were disputed, including before ZEC, when it was still the ESC, the Electoral Supervisory Commission. So this is the weakness within the opposition, that boycotting only results in them becoming much more weaker from a legal perspective.
Right, okay. So basically, if you are telling someone who is a novice in politics, boycotting in Zimbabwe is not good at all.
As far as I'm concerned, to be honest, right now,
yeah,
you need a foot in there. If you don't have a foot in there, the entrenchment of ZANU-PF means that they will run away with it.
They will run away with it.
The fact that we have highlighted that the split with the Watchman movement resulted in MDC losing the majority of their seats in Matabeleland and some parts of the. And subsequent to that, you had the split with the and Mangoma, which resulted in losing some of the seats in the northern part of the country. And eventually, NDC, which was the most powerful in the in the GNU, is now the weakest ever. And right now, I don't know what's going to happen to MDC, to be honest, given the current circumstances of their president.
Yeah,
it's a mess, to be honest.
It is. No, that's fine. Mkomatish, thank you so much for that. Ndoda kuti ndimbonzwe kuna Chief Sose tisataenda ku small commercial break. Then I want to come back. I've got a really a couple of burning questions that I want to ask, especially kuna Sekuru. But Chief Sose, maswera sei kuma kadiko ku America?
Tiripo DJ Sodza kana makadiyo.
Aiwa, zviri nani mabasa ari sei?
Vamwe vese varipo.
Aha, ndikati mabasa ari sei?
Aiwa, mabasa tinawo. Tinawo.
Aiwa, shandai ndokuti tizovhizite ikoko mutiwanirewo chikafu kana tauya.
No, ndokuti tigadzirise Zimbabwe. Mashift acho waya ndo ari kugadzirisa Zimbabwe.
Aha, aiwa, andozva kuti mama akateerera handisi kuziva kuti mune zvamuda kutaurawo here maererano nemibvunzo yandandabvunza miiri kuti we all see what is happening in Kenya, you know, to go to the courts and get things overturned, and the rerun is ordered, and in the middle of the rerun campaign someone, you know, withdraw and all that kind of stuff. Can you see that happening in Zimbabwe? Is it feasible?
Yeah, I mean, it's very feasible. It has happened before. We have challenged an election, and we have had to do our own rerun. Of course, so everything that is happening in Kenya can happen. We can also have our own boycotts, you know. But it comes down, DJ, to the political parties that we have. The onus is on us, people in the opposition and the opposition leadership. But the problem we have now in Zimbabwe, I have to be honest, is a problem of organization, and maybe a problem of lack of organization, to be specific. You cannot just rush to court. You know, if you are going to go to court, you need to have evidence and maybe proper documentation of what you are going to present in court. It is true what Mr. Moyo and the teacher saying, that MDC took the government to court, and they ended up sometimes withdrawing the cases that they had filed against ZANU-PF. Why? Obviously, there is no evidence whatsoever. And now we are in 2018, when we go for elections, and then you wait until you have lost, and then you want to go to court again. And if we saw what happened in 2008, we saw what happened in 2013, then that should wake us up. We should be more prepared. We should be more organized. You remember when I think 2 weeks ago, I spoke about a program that we wanted to run. We have been running programs in Zimbabwe. Now it's in the open. And some of them have been successful. But I'm telling you, 80% of them have not been successful, and it's so disappointing, because people will be using money, people would have planned, people will be having sleepless nights, putting everything on paper, but at the end of the day, nothing happens. That's why I'm saying it comes down to organization. If you want to challenge an election result, you must document what you're doing. You must have evidence. Evidence doesn't come on a silver plate. You have to create it. You have to create conditions that will give you that kind of evidence that will make you win an election, win a court case if you go to court. What we had planned to do was, we wanted the opposition, particularly the MDC alliance, to have its own database. That you have your own people that are in your own database. For you to win an election in Zimbabwe, you need to have registered at least 5 million people. Because ZANU-PF won an election by only 3 million people in the last election. So we figure that if you can register 5 to 6 million people, you can win an election. And we gathered everything together, and we're supposed to start in high school. The t-shirts are there, printed, MDC Alliance. The material, educational material for the people, because you want to educate the people, you have to give them the material that for you to free yourself. You need to give people information. You need to go and register. So we had printed the materials, we printed the t-shirts, we had the volunteers in there. But I'm telling you, the program failed. It didn't take off because there was no organization in the opposition. Because what we wanted to do was to move from Highfield and to go to all the constituencies. So at the end of the day, we would have registered maybe 4 or 5 million people or 6 million people. Now imagine you have a database with your own 5 million people. And ZANU-PF is doing what it is doing right now, what it always does. You know, that they don't register people. They create conditions that will make Zimbabweans not to want and go and register. There are these V9 forms. People don't have them. You know, they are going to have to buy them. So that they can have those V9 forms. You know. So now, you can if by the end of December or by the end of January, which is the end of the registration period, you see that your people haven't been registered. Because now you have the evidence. You have 5 million supporters. Only 2 million have been registered. And from the look of things, what is happening right now, the opposition may even fail to register 2 million people. You know, and then you see that only 1.5 million or 1.8 million have been registered. There is no reason whatsoever why you should go for an election. And you are not just talking, you're not just saying our people are not being registered, our people were being sent away. You have the evidence. You can go to court, you can go to SADC, you can go anywhere and say, look, this is our database. These are our members. They were never registered. Only 1.5 million were registered. You'll be foolish to go for an election with only 1.5 million of your people registered, when you know that for you to win an election in Zimbabwe, you definitely need more than 3 million votes. So in that case, if you have evidence, if you have your own alternate database, you can successfully boycott an election. Because all you need to do is to organize your people, those 5 million people, and say, we are not going to go for these elections until our people are registered, until all these other people, the 3.5 million that are remaining, that are in our database, that you can be showing anyone in court or in a SADC tribunal. You know. But if you don't have those, and then you are just crying at the end of the day, saying, oh, our people were not registered, our people never got the form, it doesn't work. You need to have evidence. And when you have evidence, you can do anything, you can go to court, you can even mobilize your people to boycott an election.
Aha, aiwa. Ndatenda zvangu Chief Sose nemashoko akanaka chose amatitaurira aya. Zimbabwe zvanda kuita pana pari gaindi bunwa mvura for 2 minutes. We'll be back after this short commercial break.
Ndini mwendambe ndakuchinja mutemo sarura yodura tanzika yongoma nyangwe ukuzama undura ndakuchinja mutemo sarura yodura tanzika yongoma nyangwe ukuzama undura erasvika kutonga kwaro ngoma painoira ngoma yamakachaira rinofadza nendera mikambara makachaira kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro aiwa hongore herendende wasikana hongore herendende muchadura aiwa hongore herendende wasikana aiwa hongore herendende muchadura ayere vakaranga motyora muzura kwasvika kumari yarinotonga musha ziso karosvika panze rinosiya tunda Kangoma keviduka ega novaya katimba Kanyanya kukuri vaunowira mukumba Jerusalema kutamba kwazumba Erasvika kutonga kwaro Ngoma bainodira ngoma yamakachaira Rinofasa nenderera Kamba ramakachaira Kutonga kwaro Kutonga kwaro Kutonga kwaro Kutonga kwaro Kutonga kwaro Kutonga kwaro Aiwa hongore herendende wasikana Hongore herendende muchadura Aiwa hongore herendende wasikana Aiwa hongore herendende muchadura.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You are listening to DJ Sodza live on Zimnet Radio.
Join DJ Sodza and his informative team live every Thursday at 9 p.m. UK time, discussing Zimbabwean politics.
Make the whole world know about your business. Advertise with Zimnet Radio. Email marketing@zimnetradio.
Muri Zimbabwe ndo zvinoita 7 minutes after of 11. Vapepe maswera sei?
Tasara DJ Sodza.
Kuri seiko kumaraini?
Kuno right. Yeah. Ma Thursday nema Tuesday.
Yeah.
Ane program and yandiri kuita iri kungondiita kuti ndichishayikana pamepo but
so we don't expect you in the next few coming weeks. Is that what you're telling us now?
No, the whole lot of next week, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
But I will. After next week, we are a bit late.
Okay. No.
For maybe 2 weeks more.
Okay.
Other than that, after that, then I'm okay.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fine, Wapepe. Thank you so much. Now, Wapepe, you may choose not to answer the following questions, but I've got a few questions to ask you. How is the president of the MDC? I mean, medically.
The president is in good spirit and very much recovered. Today, as we speak, Vangavaini meeting with the principals, the other principals, mapping the way forward. So that's the good news as far as from the MDC is concerned and as far as the Zimbabwe is concerned.
Ah, fabulous. Okay, thank you so much. Vapepe, if the unthinkable happens and unfortunately we lose Vachangirai tonight, who will take over as president of the party?
Well, that is interpreted in the constitution of the of MDC.
And can you tell us who that is going to be if it's in your constitution?
Now, the constitution, obviously the vice president will be in acting capacity until special congress.
What happens then, because you've got 3 vice presidents at the minute?
Sorry?
because you've got 3 vice presidents at the moment. What happens there?
Well, it is actually very clear on that. Yes, we have got 3 vice presidents, but so far the person were elected by Congress. Congress is the supreme body for MDC. So, which means Cooper will be in acting capacity until a special Congress.
Until a special Congress.
Unless otherwise.
Unless otherwise. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Wapebe, for answering that easily like that. Now, the next question, maybe you want to start yourself, Wapebe, on that. Voter registration. I was reading an article yesterday saying that only about 7.9% of the people have managed to register to vote. It's a very low turnout at the moment, because we were told that by January this whole registration thing is going to be closed, isn't it? Is it the mid-January is going to be closed? As an opposition, are you happy with how things are going? And are you happy with the registration itself so far? You know, with the numbers that we are told, these have registered in all these provinces at the moment.
Sorry, Mkoma, before you proceed, just a minute. Actually, the actual number is 700 and something thousand. And the percentage is, you were right, 1.9.
Yes,
7. It's
1.9. Yes, I saw that somewhere. It's 1.9.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
Now, is that okay? So, Wapebe, can I start with you? Does that raise eyebrows? 1% of the people have managed to vote to register so far, and we are told January is the cutoff point of it.
Yeah, I think it's of course it's worrying for any politician and any Zimbabwean. You know, especially under the current condition whereby only salvation is actually a transition process and a new beginning for Zimbabwe. But however, I mean, it's a challenge to all opposition parties. It's a challenge to all politicians, including the ruling party. Because, mind you, I know people, they get at least mixed in the maze of things whereby they think vanhu vari kurural areas ndeve ZANU-PF or vanhu vari kuku. I mean, we don't know vari kuregister kuti vachavhotera papi in the end. So it is important to galvanize the process and mobilize kuti vanhu vaite sevaregister, because that's very crucial, and this election is going to determine a chance in our generation. We are pitted with a 94-year-old candidate whom we know, I mean, after 38 years, there's nothing so far, completely nothing that he can sell to Zimbabweans, other than meeting. This is why they are not even policy-driven wherever they meet. So yes, the challenge is on every Zimbabwean to communicate, both in terms of the network, both in terms, I know what MDC yesterday, the president issued a letter that was circulated to my churches. So we are saying to my churches, this is where the people are, all right? Tinema congregation, kunana magaya, kunana makandiwa, kunana chi. People go there for salvation, and vanhu vanoendako vachinotsvaga kuti ndiri kuda kunamatirwa kuti upenyu hwangu huite nani. Oh, what you are saying is fine, right? There is a spiritual context, but the real problem is not spiritual. The real problem is physical. So tiri kuda kuti church vabetsere, this juncture, kuti vaite mobilize their own people, vanhu vese Zimbabweans, so that they can register to vote. We don't have time, as you are saying, and that statistics speaks for themselves. That we unless otherwise we work hard, then we've got a problem of meeting the target.
Thank you so much for that, Vapepe. Security going to Kwamuri. Listening to these numbers that are there as of yesterday, are you happy with the progress that is being made?
Absolutely not.
What is hindering?
From the very onset, we said ZEC was ill prepared for this. Hello? Hello?
Yes, Sekuru, go ahead, we are here. And I'm very Sekuru, Asana winner. I'm sure you're happy there. Go ahead.
The problem was that from the very onset we started arguing that ZEC was ill prepared for this. And then we have a system that is requiring things that impede the process instead of accelerating it. The requirements for documentation, the bureaucracy behind it does not help at all. Because if really the intention is to register everybody in terms of what the Constitution says, that every Zimbabwean of majority age must be assisted and facilitated to vote, to exercise his right to vote, there is no need for impediment. A person would only be required to produce their national registration number certificate, and they will be registered wherever they want. What is the point of saying we want you to tell us the address, the address, and the proof that it's your address, when the person has already proved that they are Zimbabwean? If they want to register in Mtoko and they stay in Harare, let them register in Mtoko. It will be their problem to go to Mtoko and vote. Why put the gridlock? The second thing is, if you look at the numbers that are being said to have been registered to vote, these are people who are really determined because they got absolutely nothing to do. Because if you have got something to do, and you know that an hour means £5 or $5 lost in selling tomatoes. You don't want to wait in a queue for the whole day to register. Why create that problem? It's a human problem, it's a structural, a ZEC structural problem, not an issue with the kids or anything. They are slowing down the process, and that is what is irritating me.
Irritating
then
you.
Then you got a system where the police says you can't hold a rally to encourage people to register to vote unless you have got our clearance. What is that now? Why should the police be involved in a negative way like that? Instead of the police actually holding a rally at the police stations and saying, come here, we want to talk to you to make you to register to vote. They say you can't encourage people to vote. What is that?
Now, Sekuru, I know Tinevano Wakawanda or Dagunfunza, but I've got a question I have to ask you. Sekuru, now, if less people register to vote for this coming election, what does that, who is going to be favored by this? Surely it's 50-50 for all parties. If 50 people register to vote, or if 10,000 people register to vote, each candidate, each party has got equal opportunities to win the election, regardless of the number of people who are going to cast their votes. Isn't it right?
Scientifically, that should be the correct thing. But in an election, the problem is who is registering the people and who is not being registered. Those questions then provide intrigue into the whole process, because the person who is registering the people is of questionable credentials. And the likelihood that he would register those people that are belonging to a particular party of allegiance is very high.
But Sekuru, is that conducive? Is that conducive? Would you go in a queue, you want to register, you go, I go to Chitungwiza to register. How would those people who are registering people know that that face is going to vote for such, that face is going to vote for such? Are we losing something here?
Yes, you are losing a lot, because what happens is that the people, they are particular areas they target to slow the process, and the areas where they increase the efficiency. And in those areas, the assumption is that there is some kind of political activity that is taking place from one particular party.
Right.
So in essence, what we are saying is you don't take it on the surface. You're going to go down and dig deeper to find out what exactly is driving these particular areas people to go and vote, and that particular area is people not to go and vote. What is it? When you dig into that, then you find that there are maneuvers from behind the scenes that are saying people in those areas have been mobilized by party so and so. Can you quicken up the process? People in that area have been mobilized by such and such a party. Can you slow down the process?
Right. Okay. Aywa, Sekuru, thank you so much. It's very enlightening there. It's very interesting. And so, Mukoma Wulbet, do you agree with what Sekuru is saying there? And also, are you also unhappy with the numbers that we are told here? Only about 1% have managed to register to vote now of the people who are eligible to vote in Zimbabwe. Yet this registration is due to end in January, and January is just around the corner.
Well, it is, but I can tell you now that you will find that the numbers will start going up significantly when ZANU-PF start registering its own supporters. And we know that ZANU-PF has got the ability to multiply their supporters. In other words, one individual may find he's registered 2, 3, 4 times, no problem. And this is part of it. The number of people who are going to be on the voters' roll will be 5 million or thereabout, without any problems. The key here is that ZANU-PF, by delaying the voter registration, they know they cannot produce a voter registration and then be able to have it verified before the elections. And so as long as people go into the next elections with the voters' roll, who they don't know who is on the voters' roll, who is not, it's open for rigging. And this is exactly what happened in 2013. So we are seeing a repeat of what happened before. This is nothing new. And this issue of being low, I agree. But I can tell you, mark my word, in November, December, the numbers will start increasing significantly. And most of those people will be registered using this ZANU-PF system. So this is going to happen. And I think this is what comes back to what we were saying before, that the elections are already being rigged. And we are being asked to take part in a process that we know is being rigged only to give it credibility. Because that's what ZANU-PF would want you to do. As long as you queue to register and then queue to go and vote, people will think, right, people participated. The fact that you queue there for hours on end and fail to register. The fact that when you go to vote, you queue for hours and end, then you find your name is not on the voters' roll in that particular polling station. It's immaterial. It's assumed that you voted. So it is important that the process should be transparent and be accepted and be credible from where to go. And that is why it is so important that the voter registration should have started as far back as 2015, so that by now we'll be looking at if Sodza registered, he can go to the polling station where he's registered. He can check that his name is entered in and is correct. We are verifying. This is the point where you should be verifying the voters' roll.
Yeah, before you even go to cast your vote, you are not registered, you are registered. You can actually verify it now before the polling day.
Exactly. And this is what has been the problem. In 2013, you find we went into those elections with no verified voters' roll. I think it was only 2 days before the voting itself that they circulated printed copies of the voters' roll, which it was impossible for you to run around to check if you are not in this polling station, in this constituency. Where are you in? You don't know. And so many people found themselves on the day of voting. They turn up, and someone lived in the particular constituency for 20 years. You turn up at the polling station and they tell you your name is not on the voters' roll. Finish. You've been denied the vote.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Sally?
Yes, DJ Sodza.
Sally, the numbers that we are hearing that have so far managed to register, it's appalling. And I'm just wondering, really, how many people are going to be registered come January, and how significant is that going to on the outcome of the election?
You know, it's 72 days, I think it is.
Yeah.
Till it closes. I mean, I saw those Matabeleland numbers, okay? I mean, that's just a joke. Seriously. You know what is so disheartening and so discouraging about the whole thing, okay? People put so much time and energy into speaking to people and holding rallies and things like that, all leading up to this, okay? And people are getting turned away. There are not enough registration booths or whatever you want to call them and all that sort of thing. But nobody's making big noise. I mean, to find anything, okay, about what is happening, you can search for hours, and you get the same stories circulating on all the papers. Okay, I mean it's almost like, oh well, to hell with it. We can't register, so who worries?
Yeah, but Sally, I asked Sekuru that same question. That does the number of people who registered to vote determines the outcome of this election?
Well, you must look at the areas to see where you've got the most voters registered. And if those areas are known ZANU-PF areas, then you know who's going to win the election, isn't it? Okay, I mean, it's this whole thing, it's been set up from the beginning to make things as difficult, okay, for anybody to register, okay, because it's all part of the ZANU-PF build-up to the election, and then there are going to be more ZANU-PF voters registered than anybody else, okay, and it's already, as far as I'm concerned, it's already showing, Okay? And this is, and people, I don't know, people have become docile in a way. It's almost like they're exhausted. They're tired of politics. Because it doesn't matter what they do, ZANU-PF still sits.
Right.
Okay? And so it's like they're just giving up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And they're not fighting to register.
Okay, fine. Sally, thank you so much. Regarding Boerenga, a couple of, because I want to hear from these 4 other people that have just joined us. Kwanziko namkoma wangu waliku America. Kwanzi, with the way the opposition is crying foul, I don't have any incentive to go and register to vote because they are already conceding a defeat. Then this one is saying that in Lower Gweru, hanzi kune masabuk arikuudza chembere kuti matorwa photo and video saka musi wevote munoonekwa kuti mavhotera papi ende vari kunzi vanosara nelist yevanhu kuitira kuzopa chikafu nembeu in the coming years. Basically what they are doing there in Lower Gweru is that the head of the village is there. What they are doing is they are telling the people that this registration is different. We are taking your photos and your videos and we shall see where you are going to cast your vote come the election day. And those who are not going to vote where we want you to vote will not receive food and all the likes from the government in the coming years. But anyhow, ndisandaenda kuna tete wemashoko regai tiende pana vamoya. Vamoyo, you rightly corrected me about the numbers of the people that have registered so far. It's appalling numbers, isn't it?
It's atrocious, Mkoma. It's terrible.
Terrible. But who is that going to benefit?
The one who has the organizational capacity to mobilize for mass mobilization.
Yeah, but the police are banning some opposition parties to mobilize their people. How fair is that?
No, the police do not ban people from doing that. The police simply say if you want to hold a rally, you inform us. And I mean, that is a legal requirement. So they are not banning people from doing that. In any case, there has been precedents before when the police were approached by political parties to say we want to hold rallies. Police have turned down the request. Those who were refused by the police went to court and then they were given the go-ahead and they held their rallies. So if there is anybody who has any issues with police, they still have recourse for court. And in a court of law, there is the option of an agent application. And in this case, yes, there is enough justification for agent application for the court to hear the case on an agent basis. So they have the option to do that, and they know it. They have done it before. So that one is not an issue really. They know what to do if they want to do it. The actual issue here is, these people are shooting themselves in the foot because they are sending a message out there to their own people to say this is a futile exercise because the outcome is already. So what is the incentive of a person to leave what they are doing to go and register when you are already being? It's like manarapenda kuchikoro wozwa kunzi wewe tichano kuvenga and it doesn't matter what you do. Wakatofaila exam kudhara iyasanyora. The incentive yekuti mwana arari akasvinura achidhoma kunonyora exam iye audzwa kuti it doesn't matter what you write, teacher vachakumaka wrong and you're going to fail. We are discouraging our own people already. That is one thing. The other thing is, these people do not have any policy consistency. Kuti are we going to participate or we are not going to participate? At one time they said they are going to boycott the election. At one time they are going to participate. They are not going to participate. They are actually confusing their own people. Look at what ZANU-PF can do. They said we are going to have a 1 million men march. The million people came and they were there. You remember even one of the most bizarre incidences where there was that solidarity march with Grace Mugabe, where she did not even turn up, Mugabe did not turn up, Grace did not turn up, but the people still turned up. Mugabe is doing his meeting the youth rallies in the provinces. People are still turning up. It means they do have the organizational capacity, whether it's intimidation, whether it's money, whatever it is, it means they have what is required to mobilize their own capacity, which is what the opposition does not have. They don't have the capacity. So when your other question, Nikuti, the registration, is it going to determine the outcome? Definitely, because the only people who will be able to vote to decide who comes in and who goes out is the person who has registered to vote in the first place. The person must be registered to vote to begin with. After the registration, this is where they now have access to go and decide on a ballot to say, I want this one in, I want this one out. So definitely the winners and the losers cannot be determined anywhere outside the numbers that will have registered to vote. So these are the numbers. If the elections are to be held tomorrow, 1% of the people are the only people who have access to the vote, and these are the only ones who are going to vote. And incidentally, according to the constitution and the laws in Zimbabwe, even if half of those people who are currently registered, meaning 0.something percent, 0.7 or 0.%, go and do the actual voting, the winner will come from that small percentage there. Okay. So unfortunately, this is what it is going to be. So those who are registered to vote, those who have successfully registered to vote at the moment, they are the only ones who can decide the next government. Unfortunately, that is what it is.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Wamoyo. Teto mashoko maswera se?
Maswera se?
Taswera.
Magadi mose.
Tinofara se. Kuri sei kwenyu?
Tiri nanti chambo nakirwa nekamushana kekupedzisera.
Thank you so much. Now, what do you make of these appalling numbers we are hearing that people, 1% of the population that is, eligible to vote have registered so far. Yet in January, that's it, end of story. Whoever is not registered, that's it, you can't cast your vote. Only those that are registered will cast their votes. Who is going to be favored if less people register to vote? That's what I'm asking there to Tomashu.
Right. So we've got to understand the background. Do you know, as I keep saying, akuna vanhu vanga vakangwarisa panekava vanhu veZANU-PF. Intelligent people. They really harnessed kukwanisa kunonzi kuita wear down people. Wore them down kusvikira. Yes, it doesn't matter talking alone. Just talking is not going to do anything for anybody. Nyango mukataura vanhu kuti endai munoregister mugovota, people are tired. They've just been worn down to the ground. They don't believe kuti pane change ichaitika. They have been there, they've done it all. Period. And for once, I agree now, even though he was kind of being sarcastic, my opposition parties, they are partly to blame. They're not to blame, really. Because even them, they are suffering from Madonna funders. Yes, now that have Mari are available about 10 years ago, 5 years ago. This is as much as, again, because of not seeing results. You can't keep investing into something that is not producing results. Do you know Chasara is, here we are talking, mark my words. People are now going to learn, Kuti, they will have to go out and claim what's theirs, period. Voting, you can talk about left, right, and center. They've been there, they've done it all, they've seen it all. They have now chimwe chiri kuita kuti vanhu futi vati, you know what, this is all but a joke. Seriously, the number of political parties that have registered kuti vari kucontesta, that doesn't foster confidence. If anything, it just reinforces that belief yekuti each man for himself and all of the us, you know, whatever the rest from this. There is no cohesion in the sense yekuti even those top political parties, they are not coming up with one strong message yekuti, you know what, ultimatum, these people don't produce this by such a date, we must demonstrations.
Okay, Tete, regarding muri kutaura kuti mimi vanhu they've been voting for years and there's been no result that they are craving for. Now, so people are just refraining from voting because basically there's nothing for them. Whether they go and stand in that queue for 10 hours to register to vote and cast their vote where they would like their vote to be, still there's not going to be change. So there's no point of going to vote. Is that what you're telling me?
That's exactly it. Here, I'm going to give you a quick example. $15 billion can buy you a whole lot. And when somebody has so much money, and islands and God knows what, they will continue funding Kutuba stay in power because they are quite aware. They hear my opposition parties like you people gorera tinopinda power tukukutorera imamanchene enyesa muri kutengera. You know what? It's also, somebody mentioned something a few weeks ago. I was ill, Saka, I don't remember, I didn't phone in. But somebody mentioned Yekuva colonized the British. Do you know my British are very passive people? My British vakaita takanyanya kuva very educated and British way of, you know what, let's sit down and talk. Men don't do this, you know, and men around table, and you know, you can't take a person who is Central Africa, Gandanga Binya, and they are not afraid of Kuti. You know what? You take my Banavangu Akafanenzara, that's war.
Okay.
My British, if you notice, my Zimbabwean men, wonder chayo violence. Violence is men to men, they are not people who are violent by nature.
Okay,
and
Tete.
Yes, you know,
Tete, so you're telling me that in Zimbabwe, what you want now is violence to remove this government rather than democratic election. That is not going to remove any. That's not going to remove the current government. Yes or no?
Definitely. In the sense, Yakuti, violence is not only physical violence. Do you know violence? It can be even hijacking a person. Hijacking kultora whatever Yakuti this, you're going to concede. Whether you like it or not, you're going to concede. At the moment, there's no incentive.
Okay. Tete Omasho. Tete. If I tell you tonight that Tete, we are going to Zimbabwe, Kundurkwisa, ZANU-PF, we are going on the street and fight the police and the army in Harare. Are you prepared to take a flight and fly to Zimbabwe tonight?
Do you know what? I might and I might not. I'm going to give you a quick example. Yesterday I met a widow where an African leader akaona murume wake achiuraiwa ku Liberia. And up to now she's traumatized by that. I had an experience African politics, brief, but it was so vicious even now, ndine nightmares about it. So would I go for vazukuru vangu? Would I be convinced kuti zveshuwa ndikuzvipira for vazukuru vangu? Yes, definitely. But if you gave me the opportunity kuti I look at the scars and what I stand to lose, chances I might even say no. That is when then you kind of sit back and you say, hang on, is it about shedding blood or hijacking my sources emari? Hijacking my sources are sustain these people in power. Hijacking and making sure that you cut off sustained in power.
Okay.
There are so many ways where people can actually look, well, you know, we are just talking. South Africa, 80% of South African wealth is in white hands. It doesn't matter what anybody says or will do. Certain things will never change because vanhu vakabata mari. It's the same principle. Vanhu vari overseas, vari in diaspora. We are part and parcel of this problem. We have been sustaining and helping to sustain this ZANU-PF in power. Tisu tukuramba tichitumira mari my relatives. I'm not saying ngatiurayai my relatives, but it's time we had those conversations. You know what? Kana mtiri kukubhadhara ichingogara ikazvenyukumba. Then the ground to hold.
Tete
people staying home.
No, Tete. Ndoda kuti ndite move on. Time yangu haichandibvumiri panapa. Tete mashoko, you're saying kuti maybe in diaspora we should consider refraining from sending money back home. If your mom is ill, if your mom is ill tonight, and she wants money kuenda kuma avenues tonight, would you not send money for her to go and get treated to private hospital?
I'm already doing it.
Right.
So what I'm simply saying is, don't go to work. And I'm not demonstrator. Or stay home if you're afraid to go to Burguraiwa. You know what? My opposition parties actually stay home. 2 weeks, a month, ground to a halt. But then when you're sending your money, you are sending babereki vako. You are already, we are doing that. But just at the same time, keep going, Kubas.
Just one question, Gong.
No.
Naiti to mashoko. Matiku Zimbabwe muritro. Ko ava vakaedza kuita demonstration ku New York for United Nations. They were outnumbered by December 12th movement because vakanga vari vashoma. Chakakutadzisai kuenda ikoko chi?
In the data extent, I was supposed to go. You can ask Stalin and Rugutori. So I couldn't go.
All right. Okay, guys.
Guys. Just a quick question.
Time at your mind. Hey, okay.
Munoziya kuti mune ma-African American vari kufanda mugabe vanoda mugabe zvokuti chinosara kukuteera kumba kwako ne-AK-47 kunokuuraya. Who love him, who will call vana Savannah vai. You know, I saw vanhu vachiinsulta vanhu vakaita Savannah. I didn't comment, I didn't say anything because it just shows vanhu so kuti when people keep saying you are up against a monster, people don't believe it. Kune vanhu vanonyatsotaura kuti isusu will fund ZANU-PF kusvikira zvanaka because we like him, because anotaurira varungu kuti take a hike. That's not good enough. Abaziye munhu ari kugokwe ari kufa nenzara.
Okay, guys. All right. No, Vamoyo chimbobatai makadaro. Mukoma teach, are you happy with the numbers that we are seeing that they've registered to vote so far on this voter registration?
I'm happy.
Sorry?
But I would say I will wait and see. It's a new exercise, it's a new process. We've never done it before, that a complete voter's roll is deleted and started afresh. So it's still gelling in. My concern is some of the things that some of the speakers have alluded to, which is that it is the closing date. I don't know what closing date that is. You know, the only closing date would be once Parliament is dissolved and a date for the election has been promulgated. At the moment, a voter's roll is a live document that is continuously updated as people turn to the universal age or suffrage. It doesn't stop. Are you telling me that it will be closed? People who turn 18 on the day will not be eligible to register on that list? It's a legal requirement that everyone who is above 18 can register as a voter. And the voter's roll is a continuous live document that changes virtually every day as people turn 18. It is supposed to be automatic that people are put in the database, because when they go and take their identity cards, their biometrics are taken. These biometrics being pictures, being fingerprints, and so on and so forth. So Zimbabwe already has a biometric national registration system, which by right should be used to the members. But because the ZEC is supposedly independent from the Registrar General, there is no cooperation that has been put in place in terms of integration. But by right, when you turn 18, you are actually supposed to receive a note telling you that you are now eligible to welcoming you to the universal age of suffrage. We do that in the UK. The point that I'm saying is that our systems are Westminster based and they're derived from the British systems. There's no reason why we can continue to have that registration of voters in big numbers based on the fact that our biometrics are actually taken when we get our Ritupa and when we get our birth certificate. So the truth of the matter is registration is only going to jail when people know when according to the registration center are. Right now, what you have is a situation where ZEC has announced where the registration centers are. After a bit of very skeptical beginnings, when the big cities were given like 2 registration centers, but which apparently were pilot schemes. So people are going to register. I'm sure of that. People are going to register. I think it's. But what I also want to understand is where is this closing date coming from, and it's premised on what? How do you close registration of voters unless you're talking about closing it prior to a declared election? So why would you close the registration of voters? I'm perplexed by that.
Okay, can I assist there?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, go on.
Yeah. There are many registering centers that have been opened up specifically to facilitate this process. So some of these registering centers are not permanent. They can't stay there forever and ever and ever and ever. So the centers have been opened up to facilitate this anticipated mass registration. And then at the end of this exercise, of this period, where it is expected that those who needed to register have done that, some of the centers will scale down, will close down, and then the registration will continue, but now this being the normal and the usual continuous process, but not the en masse registration. So the closing would simply mean removing some of these temporal registration centers that have been set aside to facilitate the registration of many people.
I've taken people. So you're only saying it's centers that will be closed, not...
No.
No, closed.
I allowed Moyo to respond because I wanted to hear what he's going to say, so that I can continue with my presentation. So Moyo, in a nutshell, without dwelling too much on it, you are saying the widespread centers will be scaled down.
Yes.
The voter registration is not going to stop.
It can't stop.
No.
It can't stop.
Well, okay.
What's your understanding, Nkoma Fifi?
Right. Not my understanding. What is the... Actually, that's exactly what we are challenging, Kuzek. And it's in black and white. Could anybody, unless they are registered after the cutoff date, they will continue registering my district, but anybody who is going to be registered after the cutoff date will not be able to vote. And this is actually within I mean, we have been actually talking with the ZEC from opposition parties, and this is exactly what we are challenging, right? And that's what is in black and white.
Can I say something?
Okay.
Hold on, guys. My point, which I wanted to really highlight, is because I saw there's a gap in what others had said. I just wanted to bring to the fore the issue that is really critical to voter registration and how you guys understand it. As far as I understand myself, based on the constitutional requirement, voter registration is a never-ending story. But there can be a closing date prior to an election. Now, I want you to understand very clearly, if you look at our constitution somewhere where it talks about the delimitation of the sizes of wards and constituencies, etc., you will see that it clearly states that on the basis of a national census and also on the basis of the number of registered voters, the constituencies can then be delimited to the number of sizes that will bring them to the 210 constituencies. So that means, for instance, if 3 million people are registered as voters on the voters, that simply should be divided by 210, which is the number of total legislators that we have. And the result of that division becomes the size of each and every averaged constituency. So that is not allowed to become effective if the elections are going to be held 6 months prior to delimitation. If the elections are going to be held 6 months prior to delimitation, it means that all those new delimitations will not be applicable. We will have to resort to the constituencies as they were before delimitation. Now, my point that I need to highlight, which we are discussing at our party in the strategic department, is if the average voting public in
DJ ngoma teacher vanotaura kusvika mangwana.
No, ndine point yangu yandabvunzwa imi mataura ndakuita. I know you're anxious to come in, but you can't take away my point because it's important.
Yeah, but you've been talking for the past 10 minutes.
Yeah, but vamwe to participate anotina zvona zvikosha. Imi ndikutopedza nguva muchiti challenge zvisina basa. So the point that is that if on average Zimbabweans have been voting, the total votes about 2.5 million, not 5 million. Zimbabwe only had almost 5 million voters once. We've never had 5 million voters, and as it is right now, the magic number for winning an election in Zimbabwe is 1.5 million, not 5 million, 1.5 million, because the average voter turnout is 2.5 million. They only have had 2 times only 3 million, which is in 2013, and 5 million when MDC won in 2000. That's the only times that we ever had such an overwhelming numbers. Any other election, if you look at some of us crunch numbers, is always an average of 2.5 million total votes split among the parties. Now, if we're suddenly going to have ZEC registering 5 million people, the sizes of the constituencies is not going to be averaged out. And this is what the opposition needs to challenge, that suddenly you level Zumbamaramba having 500,000 people and another next door constituency having 30,000 people. That will then become ultra-vires the constitution. So the opposition parties need to really be looking at the legal requirements as per the Constitution of 2013 as well as the Electoral Act. This is in black and white, that any constituency size must be averaged out so that all the 210 constituencies of Zimbabwe at any election time has the equal number of registered voters, not people who live in the areas, but the number of voters must be averaged out per constituency.
Okay.
If that is not happening, ZANU-PF will not be able to rig the election because the opposition will then know how many votes to target to win constituency and demand a constituency voters roll.
Okay.
That's
all
what
right. Okay. Thank you so much. Chief Sose?
Yes.
What's your take on the number of people that have registered so far, and who is this going to favor?
I mean, it's pathetic, DJ. You know, the number of people you see that is registered right now. It kind of spell doom to the opposition if we don't start doing something. And it's not doomsday yet, because we have time to correct our mistakes and start doing what we have to do as opposition, so that we would have registered the ideal number of people that we need to win an election. And it's sad to say we as opposition, we accept that 1.5 million is the magic number for us to win an election in a country where we have 9 million eligible voters. We have 9 million people, I mean, according to 2013 statistics, 9 million people are eligible to register to vote in Zimbabwe. And then we are fine with 3 million. We are fine with 2 million. According to the program that I alluded to earlier, our target was to register 5 million people. And now, from what Nkomatich say, you know that definitely if the opposition had been serious enough, if the opposition had been organized enough, and we had managed to register those 5 million people, and I can tell you right now that it was going to be possible. It is possible even now to register about 4 million people. Our target a month ago was 5 million people. And now I think if people are going to start now, if the opposition is going to start being serious now, they are still capable of registering 4 million people or having 4 million people in their own database. If you can have those, then you are assured that if you go for an election, you are going to win that election. But the unfortunate part, as I have already said, is we have an opposition that is not organized. And that is what we have to start working on right now, so that we get our people to the polls, so that we get our people to go and register. If we don't get people to go and register, what are we doing? Why are we going for the election? The election is one between now and January. If we don't go and register people, if people don't go and register, then we are doomed. There's no point in even waiting or doing programs after February, when the cutoff date is gone. If Chamisa can go to Kwazana and have a rally that gathers about 7,000 to 8,000 people, why is he not doing that right now and have what we can call a registration rally? He gathers his people in Tungiza because he's in Kwazana, because he's the MP for that area. He gathers his people and then say, right now, let's go and register. Apana arikuenda kumba. You know, kana zani yacho ichiramba ita zvairi kuita zvokuti vanenge vachiregister vanhu 20 per day. Then if anything is going to happen, kana paine chimoto chinotanga, tinofanira kutangira paregistration ipapo, because ZANU-PF is failing to register people. Because this situation we are having right now, to answer your question, favors ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF doesn't want people to register. They will do everything that they can to discourage people from registering. They want voter apathy, and they will do things that will encourage voter apathy. You know, if you look at the ZEC website, their strategic planning, they say I suppose they would have done voter education by now. But now we are already registering. Did you see any voter education programs by ZEC? Nothing. They flighted a few adverts encouraging people to go and vote, and that was just that. But it's a program that is supposed to be budgeted for millions. But I can tell you, those adverts that they flighted, they were barely more than $5,000. So they don't want people to go and vote, so they will never do a voter education. You know, and we have talked about the VR9 forms. Right now, for the country, for the people to go and register, we need a total of 4 million VR9 forms. And that was set up, that ZANU-PF, that ZEC did, obviously, to discourage people to go and vote. Because where are the people in Wedza, where are the people in Chendam we are going to get those forms from? They won't get them, because you need money to have forms. You need to print them, and ZEC is not providing them. They should be providing them. Where are we going to get 4 million forms? So you can see here, the setup is already there. ZANU-PF doesn't want people to register. ZANU-PF will encourage voter apathy by all means. The onus is on us as the opposition, you know, to take this to ZANU-PF. and do things and organize ourselves in such a way that we get our people to go and register. You know, it's not good enough to register 1.5 million. If we don't register en masse, I'm telling you, ZANU-PF will just romp to victory. Because one way of making sure that the ZANU-PF rigging machinery doesn't work is for people to register in their millions. ZANU-PF will not know what's happening. You know, this situation where we have only 3 million or 2 million people that have registered, is the ZANU-PF rigging machinery will work smoothly and they will win. So we have time as opposition. Let's encourage people to go and vote. Let's have rallies, MPs in each and every area to be doing registration rallies right now. You know, if Chibaya in Gweru can have 10,000 people, I think we can rally at Gweru. Why is he not doing that now? So that those people go and go back to Mira Rhine. Kana tipa vanhu chikafu, kana tipa vanhu mvura, ngativapei vakamira paraini ndekuenda kunoregister. But I'm telling you, if people don't go and register, then there is no point. If we don't have 3, 4, 5 million people who have registered as opposition, there is no point in us as opposition to go for that election, because we will definitely lose. Sarisai right now, with the statistics of the people that are registering, more people are registering in the rural areas than in town. And that's exactly what ZANU-PF wants. They will not want people in urban areas, and they will not do. They will not put in policies or things that will encourage people in urban areas to vote.
Can I
right now?
Something there.
Gokwe right now, 100,000 people have already registered in Gokwe. I mean, and then we have in Glenview 20,000 people, 30,000 people. It means they have put in place things that make people in rural areas register, because definitely they will win.
Okay,
so
right.
The onus is on us, DJ, as opposition, to do something about this situation, and we can do it if we are organized.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Mkoma Wilbert, I'll come back to you in a second. Sally, you were shouting that you wanted to say something there.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
What was it that you wanted to ask?
No, the situation passed.
Oh, it's fast. Right. Who was the other one wanting to say something? Sekulu, you were saying you want to say something there earlier on?
I doubt akawanda still, but that is not in Gatupa Moyo work out Parara.
Yeah,
are you Mzandi again?
All right. Ayo, Tina time.
My issue with this discussion is we are discussing things that are legislated as if they are coming from our heads. What does the Electoral Act say about continuous registration? What does the Act say about proclamation for registration of a new? All these things are stated in the Electoral Act, and yet we discuss them as if they are our own imagination. The fact is, the proclamation that was made by Gabe to register people for the new voters roll is in accordance with Section 36 of the Constitution. In that, it is clearly states that continuous registration will continue after the closing date of this. But what will happen is those people who have been registered as at the closing date will form the first batch of the registrar of the voters roll for the election that is coming, and anybody who registered thereafter can continue to be registered on that voters roll up to at least 12 days prior to the date upon which the election has been proclaimed to be held, to be staged. So what does that mean? It means that the registration, the blitz that is happening now is to establish the base voters roll.
Right.
Which will then be used as the basis for registering other people going forwards. Until the date a proclamation is made that there will be elections on such and such a date, whereupon within 12 days prior to the date of the nomination of the sitting of the nomination court, all registered people will be eligible to vote in that election, but anybody who registered thereafter will not be eligible.
That's well explained, Seguru.
So that is one thing, that is the legal aspect of it. The political side of it, where it is alleged that the opposition is making noises about this and
scaremongering people,
and discouraging people to. The problem is not the opposition. The problem is the government itself and the compromised ZEC officials. The ZEC officials cannot do voter education. The opposition is trying to help the ZEC to register people quickly by staging rallies, encouraging people to vote. Moyo says they must apply for permission to the police to do so. They should not do that. If they are not, why should they do that? They are not ZEC. They are education, they are voter education people authorized by ZEC to go into their members and tell them that this is the exercise that is going on. So the political rally, it's a ZEC issue. Now, if the police is saying ZEC should not use political parties, then ZEC must do the voter registration and do the rallies. And then Moyo says they must go and approach the court. Why should they approach? In what capacity should they approach the courts? They are not ZEC. They are not supposed to register anyone. They are only encouraging people to get registered. The only authority that can go with the local system to go to court on voter registration is ZEC. ZEC is the one which is supposed to go to court and say we are not finding the people to register. What if the police are refusing them to be registered? But if ZEC doesn't do that, why should the opposition parties look for a legal practitioner, pay the legal expenses to do ZEC's work?
Okay. Ayu, Seguru, mashoko akanaka. Time dzacho panapa dzapera vamoyo, we can't.
I thought you made reference to me and I needed to correct a few things.
Oh boy. Okay guys, no night.
Right.
Should I?
Yeah, and I
Yeah. I didn't say the police can only sanction ZEC. I didn't say that. In fact, most of what you said is exactly the same thing that I said. I wanted to dispute about. All I said is when politicians are to hold any rally, they are required by law to seek police clearance. For them to have any gathering, that is a requirement by law.
No, they are not required to do that by law. The law says they are supposed to inform the police. They are not supposed to seek a clearance.
Well, that is your interpretation of the law. But
it's not my interpretation. That is what is written in the law that you are quoting. The law says whenever a politician wishes to stage a political rally, they must inform the police of the date, time. Let me tell you of the date, time, and the place, and the organizer of the rally.
Okay, but my point was, should the police act contrary to that? This is what I was saying. If the police act contrary to that, then these people can go to court to say, we want to do this. Sorry?
Which ones?
My politicians,
why should they go there? They are not doing political rallies. They are doing voter education on behalf of ZEC.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, if the police stop them, I'm saying if. I didn't say they should go to. No, I said if the police stop them, then.
But don't you know that? Don't you know that there was a voter education rally that was cancelled by the police?
Yeah, that would have happened, but still I'm saying they could have gone to the court. That's what I'm saying.
Who was supposed to go to the court?
The opposition, whoever was supposed to organize that rally.
But that is where the problem is. The problem is ZEC is supposed to be the organizer of that voter education. And the ZEC is not one, it does not want to go to court with the police.
Right. Okay. Okay. It's 1:15 midnight. Zimbabwe zvatakuita panapa tosangana zvakare next week same time tichidiscuss dzimwe nyaya. Ndatenda zvangu nekuuya kwamaita pachirongwa wadare. Toonana zvakare sondo rinotevera handitika. Ndikusirai makateerera kukambo kubva kuna Presa kanyowani kanonzi kutonga kwarogamba. Regai ritonge zvaro. We'll see you next week. Please do take care of yourselves and your loved ones. We love you all. Goodbye.
Ndini mwendambe ndakuchinja mutemo sarura yodura tanzika yongoma nyangwe ukuzama undura ndakuchinja mutemo sarura yodura tanzika yongoma nyangwe ukuzama undura era svika kutonga kwaro ngoma paindoira ngoma yamakachaira rinofadza nendera ngambara makachaira kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro aiwa hongore herendende wasikana hongore herendende muchadura aiwa hongore herendende wasikana aiwa hongore herendende muchadura ayere vakaranga motyora musura kwanzika kumari yarinotonga musha zizo karosika panze rinosiya tinda kangoma kekuduka ekanovhaya katimba kanyanya kukuriva unowira mugomba Jerusalema kutamba kwazumba erasvika kutonga kwaro ngoma painodira ngoma yamakachaira rinofadza nendera ngambara makachaira kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro aiwa hongore herendende wasikana hongore herendende muchadura aiwa hongore herendende wasikana aiwa hongore herendende muchadura tioneiwo 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 ninyenyeresa vanondidedera ninyenyeresa mzira vanondidedera nyangwe kutondizonda ndakavahorora ikundizonda ndakavaremera kuyesa kundizonda ndakavahorora ikundizonda ndakavahorora erasvika kutonga kwaro ngoma painodira ngoma yamakachaira rinofadza nendera ngambara makachaira kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro kutonga kwaro aiwa hongore herendende asikana